Hi everyone, and welcome back to another live video from Boys Town. My name is Gabby, joined here today with two special guests, Father Jeff Molnar and Tom Lynch.
Hello.
Today we are going to be discussing our founder, Father Edward Flanagan, and his path to sainthood. Father Jeff and Tom, how are you both doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good.
Good. Great to have you both on. Father Jeff, could you please introduce yourself and tell us more about your role at Boys Town?
Yeah, my name is Father Jeff Molnar. I'm the National Director of Mission and Spirituality here at Boys Town. So what that kind of means is a lot of my work, or most of my work, I guess, is done here on our home campus here in Omaha. And I get to work with the youth in a variety of different formats, whether it's down at the school or over at the churches or just all sorts of different things. And then I also work a little bit with just kind of making sure that the mission of Boys Town, the vision of Father Flanagan, is something that we're still striving for and something that remains, an important part of what we do here.
Awesome. And Tom, what about you?
I'm the Director of Community Programs here at Boys Town, and I'm in charge of the History Museum and guests when they come to visit the campus. And I'm also Father Flanagan's canonization too, appointed by the Archbishop to sit on the Historical Commission.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for joining today. Tom, for those who might not know the full story, in a short summary, I know we could probably talk for hours. Who is Father Edward Flanagan and what inspired him to start Boys Town?
Father Edward Flanagan was born in Ireland. He immigrated to America in 1904 and had the desire to become a Catholic priest. He went on to revolutionize the way children are treated, just not in America, but around the world, because he brought a new concept, which included love and education, a spiritual life. He welcomed all children regardless of race, religion, and said children need to be listened to, and then we can work on their issues and problems. And his program still today is expanding around the world, serving children and families.
Pope Francis talked about the saints next door, and those are examples of saints who live holiness in everyday life. Father Jeff, how do you see Father Flanagan as an example of that kind of holiness?
Yeah, it's easy sometimes to think of the saints as people that lived in far off places or a long time ago. And, what Pope Francis did with this was he really wanted to bring kind of to the front these ideas that we have all these people who live these lives of holiness, some of them in our own communities during our own time. And certainly Father Flanagan is one of those. He was the work he did was, started here in Omaha, but what Boys Town does now extends all throughout the globe. And, his influence has touched the lives of so many people, and it continues to do so even to this day. So for Pope Francis to kind of put this initiative forward about these ideas of saints next door, it's that reminder that these types of people and this type of work goes on all around us.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, the update that you are wanting, talking about Father Flanagan and his path to sainthood. Tom, tell us a little bit about where it stands.
Well, currently, the Father Flanagan cause in Omaha in 2012 has been completed. That's when his historical documentation on Father's life was collected. His theological writings were reviewed. Everything was then sent to Rome. And then in Rome, a group of cardinals, different commissions have looked at the historical material, theological commission, and they've all voted to move it forward. So now it's moving on to Pope Leo, if he agrees with the responses from the cardinals stating that Father Flanagan shows heroic virtues.
Yeah, and for those who might not be familiar with, the path to sainthood and kind of the steps and levels to it, Father Jeff, could you explain what it means when someone like Father Flanagan is called a servant of God, and then the other terms, so venerable, blessed, and then saint?
Absolutely. Those terms, that first term, servant of God, it actually appears in the scriptures like 9 times in their life with like the ultimate goal in mind, right? It's following God, it's living a good life, and it's being someone that makes that their top priority. So that's usually where you would start with somebody who you're looking at canonizing a saint. Did they do that? Did they live that kind of life? And as Tom said, you want to investigate that. You want to look at their life, you want to look at the writings, you want to look at, how they live their life. Then once that's done, move on to the next phase, which is, we use the term venerable. And that means that the investigative part is finished, and that the church is, this is somebody that we recognize as somebody who really followed God their whole life, or followed God, it's really kind of stand out amongst others. And so once you get to that phase, right, we hold them up, we hold them in kind of this high regard as somebody whose life we can follow. After that, you kind of go into, I think you could kind of call the supernatural phase, right? Then you're looking at miracles. You're looking at how they're interceding for us from heaven. And if you get one miracle, you move on to blessed, and then the second miracle is when you move on to the final stage of sainthood.
Mm-hmm. And what kinds of evidence or signs does the church look for in that process? And has there been any notable developments connected to Father Flanagan?
The church, they're looking for, a lot of times now, they look at a lot of medical miracles.
Okay.
To see if there's, things that, if someone's asking for Father Flanagan's intercession and, something happens or through anything else, then they would look at that as something that they would consider miraculous.
The life of Father Flanagan is an incredible life, and that's someone who does have the heroic virtues, and that is someone who put their life forward to help their fellow man, and that's very important in the process. And we believe Father Flanagan shows that his entire life.
To see now this cause for canonization kind of go forward, it means everything. I mean, not just to me, but to all the priests in the archdiocese that, that one of our brothers, is getting, is being looked at for the life that he lived. It's certainly an inspiration. It's a challenge for us to try to live that same life of holiness. And I think what it means to the whole Boys Town community, we were just talking about miracles. We think miracles happen here every day. And that's something that people talk about here, whether it's in the lives of our youth, just in the work that goes on, whether it's our suicide hotline, whether it's our hospital, whether it's what we do in youth care. We believe that these miracles are happening, that God really is at work here. And so I think this cause for canonization just kind of reinforces what we already see happening all throughout Boys Town.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. As we honor Father Flanagan today, how can our viewers carry his legacy forward in their daily lives? Tom, what do you think?
I think Father Flanagan believed in kindness and love. And if we encourage our staff here at Boys Town and the public, if you see our boys and girls or any young person, to say hello to them and how are you today? Because many of our boys and girls will come and tell us they're lonely, that they've come from communities or families. No one cared if they were alive or not. And just having someone say hello to them was very important to them. They were recognized and someone was thinking about them. And so just that simple act of showing love and kindness to your fellow human being was very important to Father Flanagan. And that's what he advocated. And that's what we carry on today here in the village of Boys Town.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, thank you both so much for your time today and for this awesome update on Father Flanagan in the path to sainthood. We ask that everyone please share this video and continue to think of Father Flanagan as he moves through this process. And of course, just as Tom said, think of the children at Boys Town. Going into this holiday season, we will be doing on social a e-card campaign where you can write a Christmas card to one of our kids on campus. And so just make sure to keep following there, and we'll make sure to post the link to that. So you can write them a card, let them know you're thinking of them. And of course, we appreciate any and all support. Thank you both so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yes, we'll see you later. Thanks.